All right, this is getting kind of serious. Back-to-back centers going down. First it was Nick Harris. Now we had another center going down in practice, put on IR, and it looks like we need to put the bat signal out for J.C. Tretter. Does anybody have his number? Does anyone know where the real J.C. Tretter is? Please stand up. We'll talk about this next on the Locked On Browns podcast.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. Your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound LGB on the LOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Your hosts, Jeff Lloyd at Jeff_LJ_Lloyd. Garrett Bush, part of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, 11 to 1, Mondays through Friday on YouTube. Of course, the Barbershop 92.3 The Fan, Saturday morning. Certainly other opportunities to catch Garrett doing his work over at The Fan. Make sure you're following at GBush91. We appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen every day, whether it's on your favorite podcast platform. Make sure you're following, subscribed, or of course now on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, notifications on. You get the latest content from us shipped to you directly. Over 2,600 subscribers to this point. It's been a hell of a run. Really, really excited for how quickly this has all grown. Certainly not satisfied by any means whatsoever. You know, Garrett and I, we set expectations big, and we feel that these numbers are just going to continue to skyrocket as we go and transition into basically full-fledged football mode. As Garrett mentioned here, Nick Harris, as everybody knows, Friday night, second snap. Knee buckled. Not official yet, but word is to believe that Nick Harris will have season-ending surgery, which will put him on IR. Browns did draft an interior offensive lineman with center experience in the 2022 NFL draft, Dawson Deaton out of Texas Tech. Sadly and unfortunately, Dawson Deaton down yesterday. Again, another injury, and this one is confirmed as an ACL, which will end Dawson Deaton's rookie year, essentially before it got started for Nick Harris, for Dawson Deaton. If there's one good thing about it here, you've maybe got, two guys who play a similar position who, at least, one thing about rehabbing from an injury is sometimes if you have a rehab buddy, it kind of makes it a little bit easier to go through all of this. You got somebody you can talk to, and obviously these guys are going to go through this through the exact same phases. So certainly unfortunate, and certainly not something that the Browns are looking forward to. But it leaves you now with Ethan Pocic currently as your starting center. This doesn't give you an issue thus far, I would say, because with Jacoby Brissett now being, put into essentially the number one quarterback spot here, as we know we are set to begin the season with Jacoby Brissett at the quarterback position. Ethan Pocic takes that notch from second team to first team with him. So the two of them are familiar with each other. This is the center that Jacoby Brissett has been working with most of the time up until this point. But Ethan Pocic, former number one pick from the Seattle Seahawks, never really worked out there, has started in the NFL, ended up being a reserve offensive lineman with the Seattle Seahawks. We got a guy, Garrett. We got a guy. J.C. Tretter. And this is the thing. And look, and we've talked about this. Once J.C. Tretter became the NFL Players Association president, this becomes a difficult spot for a guy because you're in a locker room with 52 other guys. And when you've got to make some decisions based on over 1,000 other players, there's going to be times where teammates, players in the league, and we've certainly seen J.C. get called out on social media from time to time by players within the league. But it's a job to do where you're never going to satisfy every single individual. So this creates the difficulty in maybe why J.C. Tretter is still unsigned to go into a new locker room. And hey, who knows? He said something, he made a ruling about this, or he didn't make a ruling about this. And if it was one of the larger personalities in an NFL locker room who was maybe against it, it makes for a difficult transition for J.C. Tretter to go and become a part of that team. Really, really difficult thing to, be what J.C. Tretter is, and then also just be one of the guys in the locker room. How do you solve that for J.C. Tretter? And if you're the Cleveland Browns, how do you solve that problem for yourself? Well, J.C. Tretter has been a rock for the Cleveland Browns up until they released him this spring. Injured all the time, always played, did everything this team asked of him. I remember the game in 18 against the Chargers. He went down, walked out in a walking boot up to his knee. I think it was Jake Burns who was there that day, sent me a text message, and I don't know what's going to go on here, man. I don't think we're seeing J.C. Tretter for a while. All of a sudden, J.C. Tretter's out there Friday, hobbling around, plays, starts Sunday, doesn't miss a snap. This is a guy that can come back into this locker room, help this team out with the other job that he has, and this room understands it. Myles Garrett knows this is what he does. Nick Chubb knows what he does. Joel Bitonio, I've had Joel Bitonio on Locked On Browns in the past. He could not stop talking about J.C. Tretter, the player, the personality. Wyatt Teller, hey, it's kind of one of those things where I think you send Wyatt Teller and Joel Bitonio, and you can't just send them in a car because we're talking about some big, big dudes here. You got to get the Suburban or that new Jeep Grand Wagoneer. JC, pack a bet. Let's go, dude. We need you, bro. Maybe it's only gonna be one more year in the sun, but let's go, and we got to get this done.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yesterday, I was, you could be, the conservative Joe. Well, you know what? They got a couple backup guys. Let's see what they can do. And I believe in Andrew Berry, and I think he knows best. And we'll get those guys in and acclimated. And it may not be that much of a drop off between Nick Harris. And all of a sudden yesterday pops off, and you got another center going down. Nah, bro, we can't play no games with this. They need to be on the phone talking to him, because here's the thing: if you got Preseason, right? And if he's good, right? What are you doing behind him, right? What are you doing if he gets hurt, right?
Now, and I don't want to. And there are some fans with, oh well, he has experience snapping. Whoa!
Well,
this team has way too high aspirations to say he has experience snapping. That ain't gonna work for me.
He can snap the ball with his left hand if he need to. No, bro, that's not what it is. We don't need Hubbard. Like, we're not trying to see Jed Wills or Hubbard trying to be a center. No, you listen. This is just the part of football. Sometimes you don't want to do it. We all talk about it, man. There's times where I'm not a big fan of car payments, right? I just don't like them. But sometimes, like, you just got to do it, because guess what? You going to work? How you making more money? If you can't get to work, you got to spend a little money to get some money. And for the Browns, yes, I know they have aspirations, and their roster is way too good. So you can't just sit here and tell me that you cool with going in with third, fourth, fifth tier centers at one of the most important positions in the game. And it's an underrated, underrated position in terms of how important it is to the cohesiveness of the game. And not only that, you're a running team. You're going to be a running team for the majority of the time when Deshaun Watson is not here. That is a major cog in what you want to do as far as running the football and taking advantage of the backfield that you currently do have. And to open up and to unlock that at the highest level, you're going to need a center, a competent one, and one that can get it done. J.C. Tretter, come on now. Let's go ahead and get this done. I'll talk to AB for you. Come on, give your boy G. Bush, assistant GM, a little ring right now. Come on. We got to get this thing done.
And the beauty of this all is you tell J.C. Tretter by signing him today, September 11th. That's the goal. And obviously, J.C. Tretter knows how to do this. He knows his body. He knows there are some imperfections with his body, but he knows when he's got to get it done. And here's the other thing. Playbook? I'm good. yeah, I'll take one. But yeah, I know this. This is what I've been doing for quite a while now. I've played with Joel Bitonio for a while now. I have played, of course, with Wyatt Teller for it. Sometimes, like when you were a kid and your mom's like, well, here's the right way to do things. You'd kick, scream, find that every other single avenue. And then guess what you did? You circled right back to it and you ended up doing what mom's told you to do. And it was the right thing to do. It's just so simplistic. It's just so easy that this is the correct way to handle this. So if you're the Browns, and look, it may cost you a little bit more than it was because you did kind of move on from the guy for the guy he maybe gave a lot of tutelage to in Nick Harris. But at the end of the day, and this offensive line is one of the key components of, what will lead to success for this team. And then the other thing is, what are some things we're hearing a little bit out of camp is Jacoby Brissett's lack of mobility could be an issue at times. Well, you cannot go at this with Ethan Pocic and somebody who's had experience snapping the ball at the center position. You just cannot do it. We're going to move on here. A cut down day for your Cleveland Browns. They have to get down to 85. Couple of moves have already been made. There's some that are not official, will become official. But the Browns here, first trim, another trim will come next week. We're going to get to all that more. Your latest Locked On Browns, Garrett Bush and Jeff Lloyd. Our next partner has a product I use literally every day. I started taking AG1 because Garrett and I get together in the morning. Like, coffee sometimes just doesn't do it. You got to be alert. You got to be ready to go. I have a problem. I can't just sit down and take the, basically the pill form of what I would need for a normal, vitamin to get normal vitamin intake for my day. It's just too many pills, ends up, bothering my stomach. It just, if I do this, I put it into a bottle of water, it goes down the hatch with my coffee. I'm revved up. I'm ready to go. I've been on it for a few months and weeks now. It doesn't taste like it's super healthy. It's kind of a mild tropical taste that I actually look forward to each morning, but I know it's getting the job done because I just feel better. With one delicious scoop of AG1, you are absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source, superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. Why do people personally consume it? Well, if you do take it, it just, again, it becomes a routine. It makes you feel better. It gets you going through your day. It just becomes a simple fact that you are performing at a better, performance level than you have in weeks, months past. Tons of people take some kind of multivitamins, and it's important to choose one with high quality ingredients that your body will actually absorb. AG is a small micro habit with big benefits. It's one thing you can do every single day to take great care of yourself. Athletic Greens was created when the founder experienced a ton of gut health issues and ended up on a complicated supplement routine to recover, costing him almost $100 a day. He created Athletic Greens after experiencing how difficult it was to create an optimal nutrition routine on his own. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NFL Network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NFL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
Welcome back to the Locked On Browns podcast. Jeff Lloyd and G. Bush is in the building. Hey, listen, we got a lot of stuff going on. The season is coming up. Make sure you check us out. We will be on after the game. Matter of fact, check out the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We'll do a post game there. We'll be right back on this channel, and we'll be doing a post game as well. Make sure you get that squared away. Make sure you get that notification bell. Make sure you hit the like button so you can get all that content. The Eagles coming up on Saturday. I believe it's a 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock game. But we'll have a nice opportunity to kind of talk about that game and move into the dress rehearsal. And we'll get your thoughts on who you're most interested in seeing coming up in that second preseason game. More starters may play a little bit more. You'll get your first chance at Jacoby Brissett. So go ahead and hit that like and notification bell so you know when and where we're posting our content. As Jeff did say, cut downs is part of the game. And there's a couple of names, it kind of, it's kind of, I was like, okay. It was kind of surprising to hear a few of them. Major name that we've already talked about, we've always talked about with the defensive tackle room, and we're looking for people to step up, is the fact that you got your man Sheldon Day, who looks like he's going to be a cap casualty. And I think Sheldon Day is expendable because of what the young guys did. I thought the young guys played pretty well. I thought that Jordan Elliott that did his thing, showed up and looked like a guy who can contribute. Tommy Togiai, Perion Winfrey looked like he did his thing. And so when you have those young guys that are in there and they're showing that they're worthy of those rotations and worthy of those snaps, guys like Sheldon Day, who has limited pass rush ability, I would say, he's a 2-down player, not a 3-down player. He doesn't have the same pass rush ability, and the Browns really, any team really like to get that into their lineups, and they really think that's an aspect of the game that's very important. And so Sheldon Day looks like he's going to be one of those cap casualties or camp casualties and getting cut and let go. I think that he's a person that's good enough to kind of stick in the league, though. I think somebody else somewhere will pick him up. He'll be a guy that still contributes, and at worst, I think somebody will put him on the practice squad. But I believe that you got to get down, and it isn't like it was before, Jeff. Remember they had those waves where you go cut 10, then you cut like another 15, and then you got that final cut and people is on the border. Nowadays, it's like they tell you like, hey, I don't care how many people you cut. You just got to get down to 53 after this. So those evaluation process come all at once. It's like, oh, we got 85 people. Oh, we need to get to 53. And that's where the dramatic thing pause happens where, that's one of the reasons why people talk about preseason games and coaches are kind of hesitant to, get rid of preseason because you do have to make an assessment on all those people and get rid of a lump sum of individuals and players. But to do that, you need the time and energy and venue to actually evaluate these people. And besides preseason, there's a couple things that we'll talk about later on in the third segment, which is your joint practices. That's another place you can definitely get some guys some rep. But in those joint practices, you're trying to get your ones. You're trying to go good on good. So you don't even really have the leeway to go put 2s and 3s in and see what they got. So preseason is very important.
Well, it's just some things, you're looking at here. The Browns are already going to have 3 players on injured reserve by the end of the today in Jakeem Grant, in Nick Harris. Of course, Derek Deaton, the rookie, his year coming to an end quickly. Derek Dillon was in here for a hot minute, wide receiver room. He has been released. He was released yesterday to bring Denzel Ward back to the active roster. Thank God for that, of course. And with Sheldon Day, this is where it was a tough spot for Sheldon Day. I don't know, I think there's some people that, fans that seem a little bit up in arms. I don't think Sheldon Day necessarily was ever going to be a lock for a roster spot anyway. The hope and the thought process here was you were going to get an improved Jordan Elliott. You were going to get an improved Tommy Togiai. You were going to find something in Perion Winfrey that you could find snaps for him as a rookie. You signed Taven Bryant. You brought in the kid Odom, who was the defensive MVP of the USFL. And also what did not help Sheldon Day in this situation is Sheldon Day has yet to practice. And you can't make the club from the tub. That line still exists. It'll exist forever. So there's no way you're moving up any type of depth chart in your positional room if you haven't even taken a practice snap yet. Could this be a situation where you release Sheldon Day now and say, look, get yourself right, give us a call. Maybe we still want you here, but right now this is basically just manipulating your roster, and you have to be at 85. There's not any type of injury list you can put Sheldon Day on at this point that's going to get you that roster spot back essentially. So I mean, it could just be that Sheldon Day is going to move on, or it could just be a numbers thing, and Sheldon Day is going to have to get healthy, and the Browns are going to see where they're at. But I think it's probably more of the former, where I think the young kids are starting to show that maybe they're taking some steps in the right directions, which is the ultimate goal. What is ultimately what the Browns want is, they want Jordan Elliott. They want Tommy Togiai. They want Perion Winfrey. They want those guys to be the top 3 as far as, snaps played in the defensive tackle position. And it certainly looks like it's trending that way, Garrett.
That's the thing we talked about before camp, Jeff, is the importance of being able to be on the field. When you're not on the field, I don't care who you are. Unless you're somebody of the ilk of Myles Garrett or you're Nick Chubb or, what I'm saying, guys like Amari Cooper like that, unless you're one of those guys that are, what they bring to the table and what kind of, production that they've had traditionally in this league, unless you're them, you have to be able to be on the field to fight through certain injuries. And sometimes people can't do it. And it's just bad timing. But if you are in the locker room and you can't make the club from the tub, man, and so you're going to give other people opportunities to step up and make some plays, and then like, okay, well, it's not that big of a difference between you and him. He's younger, he's making plays, so unfortunately, we're gonna have to cut ties with you. If something happened during the year, we'll bring you back. So stay in shape and keep it moving. But like I said before, I think Sheldon Day will pick up with some other team. Defensive tackles are you need them. You need about 5 or 6 of them. And, he's a good depth rotation guy, so I think he'll stick somewhere else.
For Sheldon Day, all the best. We'll see how it works out. I think one of the things where Sheldon Day is a little different than most defensive tackles is he can give you a little bit of a pass rush game. And, you're always looking for, that opportunity from the interior, to have somebody that can be, either A, crash the pocket, or B, when that quarterback does take that step up in the pocket, you got somebody there essentially basically to, call his number out and take care of business. But again, for the Browns, I think this is trending the way they ultimately wanted it to at the defensive tackle position. Jeff, Lloyd, Garrett Bush, your latest Locked On Browns. We're going to get into a little bit here about joint practices, the importance of them as the Philadelphia Eagles come to town. It's almost the start of the NFL season. I love this time of the year. And if you're into sports betting or fantasy, you need a competitive edge to win. That's why I highly recommend the Elias Game Plan app. It's the ultimate sports betting and fantasy companion for the NFL, NBA, and of course, Major League Baseball. Elias Game Plan is the only sports app from the most trusted name in sports stats, the Elias Sports Bureau, the official statisticians of U.S. pro sports leagues, including the NFL. Their app lets you access team and player stats, head-to-head team comparison, and Elias insights from the Elias Sports Bureau's research team. This app really is your one-stop source for player news and league-validated player stats and team records, expert game analysis for betting, building your own fantasy team, impressing friends. Perfecting the preseason. You get player previews to help you draft a winning fantasy team and team previews so you know what to expect as the regular season kicks off. Elias is the most respected research team in the industry. Quality information is key, so I'm glad they created this app for accurate data and important context. The Elias insights help me know that my game strategy is backed by numbers, not just my intuition. Take my advice. Download the Elias Game Plan app today. With new features available all the time, take your game to the next level. NFL season is right around the corner, so don't wait. Find Elias Game Plan in the App Store or Play Store right now today. Built Bar. If you haven't tried the Built Bar Puffs yet, you are depriving yourself of one of life's greatest joys. And guess what? There is a new flavor. Ready? Delicious, indulgent cookie dough covered in chocolate. Built has done it again. Let me introduce you to your new favorite, cookie dough chunk puffs. They have a light and chewy texture, real cookie dough chunks, and of course, they're covered in 100% chocolate. But run to Built.com to snag a box for you and the family. It will be the perfect treat where you can find a really good hiding place and just hoard them all for yourself. Like all Built bars, the new cookie dough chunk puff is covered in 100% real chocolate. That means they're healthy and tasty, chocolate-covered cookie dough with a light, fluffy texture. So good. You're going to love the new cookie dough chunk puff, whether you need a snack for your workout, a late-night treat, or just need to grab a quick bite. Built is the perfect protein bar, and they taste better than a candy bar. Ditch the calories, fat, and sugar. Grab yourself a Built bar. Go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKEDON15, and get 15% off your order. Again, promo code LOCKEDON15.
Welcome back to Locked On Browns podcast. G. Bush in the building, Jeff Lloyd in the building. Thanks for watching and being with us and making Locked On Browns your first listen of the day. Joint practices. This is an area where we talked about where we can evaluate guys in preseason games. The new wave people are going about it is now. Guess what? It's all about those joint practices. Kevin Stefanski talked about it. He said they're important, and it's important to practice the right way when you do those. You don't want to get guys out there fighting. I remember a couple years ago when Freddie Kitchens was here, and remember the melees they had with the Indianapolis Colts. They just basically went out there and fought the whole doggone game, and then by the time the preseason came around, they got smoked. They was looking terrible. They couldn't stop the run. I said, man, you did all that physical stuff in practice. And the dumbest thing in the world, Jeff, is to fight football players fighting each other with helmets on. Why would you hit a man in a helmet with your hands and break your hand that you gotta use? Why would that even be an option, my man? A football player's got to get smart. All it does is turn it into a face mask grabbing contest and guys rolling around. Fighting in the NFL doesn't make any sense. And you're going to be out there, get your reps in, get your work in, stay up, don't be falling on people, act like an athlete, and just get through the reps. It's an opportunity to practice against somebody who is not on your team, a guy who you don't know his pet moves, a guy you haven't scouted. So now you're out there. This is quality reps, especially when it comes up front. Good on good, big on big, pass rush, inside drill, gap fits, all of that. 7-on-7. This is a way for you guys to compete, get better. And I think this is a new way where people are now actually, really saying that the joint practices are more advantageous than the preseason games for the veterans, especially because you can kind of eliminate the risk of hurt. It could be a more controlled environment. And so this is going to be a good week against the team with the Philadelphia Eagles. Traditional wide nines, and wide nines just means, hey, we got our defensive ends outside of everything, right? We got the D ends outside of the tight end, outside of the defensive end. We wide is the widest, right? And so what that does is it forces you, to run the football in between the tackles. They constrict the field. If you're gonna kill those guys, you're gonna get yards. It's gonna be tough sledding because you have to do it in between the hash marks, in between the defensive end. So that's another good look and another way that the Browns are going to see teams be creative and trying to stop their running attack. So I'm really interested to see what's going on out there. Jeff, your thoughts about these practices with inter-squad practices with other teams?
It's actually funny that you brought up that Freddie Kitchens practice because, your Facebook memories come up. So, the episode that went out, I think it was, I guess that would have been in 2019, like the little summary, and I just see it, WWE style yesterday at Browns practice. Certainly something that you never want to come out of a football practice. But you kind of hit the nail on the head here. Look, preseason, you cannot control what's going to go on within a 4-quarter, 60-minute game. So the Browns may go into this week, and now keep in mind, this is a big week because now the Browns are going to the premise of Jacoby Brissett as their QB1. So this is an important step. They did what they could for Deshaun Watson. It's on his table now for whenever he is able to come back to be as ready as possible. The Browns have to focus on Jacoby Brissett being ready for September 11th and going forward. So what happens if you get number one, weather? Say weather becomes a huge factor in this game, slated to play Sunday. Guess what? If they want Jacoby Brissett to throw 15 passes, they might not be able to do that. Guess what? If it's a crappy game, defenses take control, and you never get inside the 25, maybe you want to work on red zone. And you might not be able to do this in the game. But the Browns coaches sit with the Philadelphia Eagles coaches, and it's a bartering system. Browns may say, hey, we want to work on this, and this. Eagles coaches say, all right, we're cool with that. We're cool with that. Ixnay that, but we want to do this. So, it's a way to work back and forth here. And the fact that this is going to lead to a lot of the Browns' top players not even participating in this game Sunday means that Coach Stefanski and obviously the Browns certainly value what's going to go on Thursday and Friday. Browns practice today, Tuesday, are off on Wednesday. Thursday and Friday, joint practices with the Eagles. But you were allowed to, you set up, game type situations, whether it is red zone, whether it's just going to be, 5-on-4, offensive line, defensive line, those type of things. And you can split everybody up and, one Eagles coach, one Browns coach goes, one Eagles coach, one Browns coach goes. You can do your one-on-ones with your receivers and your defensive backs. You can do, drill, simulate running drills with linebackers and running backs. All things that are just going to, sharpen, basically sharpen you as you get closer and closer to September 11th. And one of the things I think where you said pretty well and eloquently hit the nail on the head is, we're not getting Amari Cooper going out there and looking at the Browns' 7th cornerback and saying, well, you ain't stopped me yet on this route because I'm running it this way. You're kind of going into a blind. Yes, some of these players. You competed to some of these players. But it's a way for you to up your game because, you're going into this. It's going to be game-like conditions. You're expected to perform at the top of your abilities. But you can't just ease through it here now. You were going against somebody who A, hasn't seen you, or B, you haven't seen, and you have to do things the way they are supposed to be simulated, the way they are supposed to be run when it is an actual game. But the biggest part of these joint practices is you can never control how the game is going to work out. So you may go into a preseason game and, yes, it's a game, but you're looking at it, we want to do this, we want to work on this, we want to work on this. And guess what? You may not get the ball inside the 35-yard line. Maybe you want Cade York to get some kicks this week, but you didn't get inside the 35-yard line. And so you're not going to be able to get what you need necessarily to get out of it. That's why the joint practices are so important. For me, I love the aspect of it, but you do cross your fingers because this is the time of the year where everybody in that locker room is a little ornery, you're a little tired, you're a little cranky, miss your family a little bit, miss your lady a little bit. And so, one thing, somebody, an elbow, whatever. And if you remember something like this last year, Browns lost Jacob Phillips in this scenario last year against the New York Giants. He ended up tearing his tricep. So these for me, like no injuries and hopefully, certainly no injuries from something stupid like, somebody swinging a helmet at your coconut and the next thing you know, you're losing somebody. But, the value of what you can get out of these 2 practices with the Eagles is paramount, Garrett.
Could not agree more. The goal is to get your work, get in, get out, no problems, no issues. People stay. The fact they're going to be injury free. You want to work on some different concepts. You want to work on some different things, special teams, and most importantly, you're looking for execution and you're looking for being just clean and playing hard through the whistle and getting out of there safe and sound.
So we've got to a bunch here today. Obviously, everybody wants to call Jamal Adams the president. When he starts playing better, maybe we'll call him the president. From now on, I stamp it down that J.C. Treader should now carry the nickname of Prez. And if we can we get the president back in the building in Berea? And quickly, please. Browns are in the midst of cutting the roster down to 85. Appears one more move to make. A couple guys waived, a couple guys will be headed to injured reserve. So we'll see the way it works as for the Browns, as for the final move they make to get that roster to 85. And of course, Philadelphia Eagles coming to town Thursday here for joint practices with your Cleveland Browns. He is Garrett Bush, part of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, Monday through Friday, 11 to 1, 92.3 The Fan, host of The Barbershop every Saturday morning. Certainly other opportunities where you catch Garrett in studio at 92.3 The Fan. Make sure you're following at GBush91. Make sure you are subscribed to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. I am Jeff Lloyd at Jeff_LJ_Lloyd. The show itself at Locked On Browns. Follow back account. Appreciate all of you who make Locked On Browns your first listen every day, whether it is on your favorite podcast platform or, of course, now on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed. Also, make sure you have the notifications on so you get all the latest info shipped to you directly. All that being said, we've gotten to a ton here today, and we'll leave it with this. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on the LOB. Let's go Browns.